Welcome to Keeping It Real on Purpose. This is your host, Edna White, and today's episode hits a nerve. We're sitting down with someone who believes toxic leadership is dead, and he's ready to prove it. My guest today is Robert Heath Sr. Now, when I was writing this, I almost forgot to put senior. That's very important. Of the Legacy Leadership Consulting Group. He brings the heat as a Marine Corps mindset, okay? Legal precision, and the honesty of a teacher who has seen it all. If you're tired of those managers who are boring, half-baked ideas to the table, if you're done with the teams that identify problems but never solutions, if you're leading from the pain instead of your purpose, this one's for you. Robert is here to redefine what real purpose-driven leadership looks like in today's world. This is about clarity, action, and legacy. So let's welcome and get to it with our guest. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure.
You're welcome. So I want to get right into it because I know we had a great backstory, but we had a great time. So I want the audience to have a great time. You say that toxic leadership is dead. That's the truth, right? Why are so many leaders still operating like this?
Right. Well, one of the things that I think happens to a lot of leaders, right? We see what we think leadership is and we just mimic that, right? It's one of the things that we do as we grow up, and you see it in dysfunctional homes, right? Dysfunctional children grow up in dysfunctional homes, and then they model that dysfunctional behavior as they become parents because they don't know a different way to be. Now, some parents will then swing the entire opposite way and they'll do something that's completely different.
Right.
It's just as dysfunctional. It's just a different type of dysfunctional. And that's what happens a lot in leadership, because oftentimes there's a quote, and you'll appreciate this having lived in China. There's a quote from the Tao Te Ching from Lao Tzu that I love about leadership, and it goes like this: the greatest leaders, we barely know they exist. When their task is done, when their job is accomplished, the people say, we did it ourselves.
Right.
Right. Now, when I was younger, I used to think, I had it on my classroom wall. I thought how profound this was. I wanted to be that type of leader, and it made perfect sense. And that's what most people, when they read it, that's what they pull away from it. But one of the things that I learned over time, especially as I started studying leadership and started training leaders, is that there's a more profound understanding to that language, which is most of the good leaders that are in society that you have had in your life, that you have seen, you had no idea what it was that they were doing that made them a good leader. You just knew how it felt to have a good leader. You knew what the experience was of having a good leader, but you didn't actually see what they were doing, because most of the time, the greatest leaders, we barely know they exist. We don't recognize that they're leading when they're leading. And so there's a lot of people out there trying to do leadership, but not really understanding how to do leadership. And the sad part about it is, when you get to a leadership position, right, you get there by being a great professional, by getting things done, by being somebody that people can count on.
Right.
And then you get to the role and you realize, I don't know how to do this. But you can't just raise your hand and say, I don't know how to do this. That's not how it works. Right. And so you got a lot of leaders that are suffering in silence. And so where it's coming from is a lack of knowledge, right? And the Bible says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge, right? Yes. The toxic leadership that's happening in a lot of different areas is because, as the saying goes, hurt people hurt people.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are struggling and suffering in leadership positions that don't actually know how to bring out the best in people, right? We call it the legacy. We say leadership is facilitating the manifestation of greatness in others. But most people think that leadership is about what they get done. They're the doer type of leader, right? And so that's where I think a lot of it comes from.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So what do you think the biggest mistake leaders have when they're always looking for a solution and they don't deliver anything?
So I think a lot of leaders are actually, problem spotters rather than problem solvers.
Okay.
A lot of people are really good at telling you what's wrong with something.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of, we have, again, on the professional pathway, you don't really learn how to articulate what success means for you. You learn how to get it externally, right? From the time we're kids. We figure out what our parents want, and that's what we do. Then we go to school and we figure out what our teachers want, and that's what we do. That's how we learn how to get good grades. That's how we learn how to get good jobs. We go and we figure out what's necessary at
Right.
the job. How do we get that? Because the bosses tell us what we need to do for the job. It's not until we get to leadership that we actually wind up having to be the people who have to decide what good looks like and how to articulate what good looks like. And most people, those muscles are just atrophied. We
Yeah.
know very well what we don't want, but we're not really good at saying what we do want. Right? You've been in those situations with somebody where he's like, man, I'm hungry. I'm hungry too. Let's go get something to eat. What you want? I don't know. You pick. And
Yeah.
then you say,
That's
well, here,
me.
let us go. Right. And then you go and let's go here. And they're like, no, I don't really want that.
Right.
I had that
Yeah,
last
that's
week.
me.
Well, let's try this restaurant. Well, no, I don't really want that either. Right. And after a while, it gets frustrating because
Right.
it's like, I can't figure out what you want. I'm just going to go get me something to eat. Right.
Yes.
And that's oftentimes how we feel with those leaders who all they do is nitpick, and they can tell you how it's wrong. They can tell you how it's not right,
Right.
but they can't
Right.
point
Right.
you in the direction of what good looks like.
Yeah. Now, so how do you fix that?
Yeah. So one of the things that we have to be able to do, and the first thing that we do with the leaders that we coach is we make it okay. Right. We create a space, and what we like to call it is a brave space. I can't create a safe space because I don't know what's safe for you. Right. I'm a former
Right.
Marine. I'm a martial artist. What's safe for me might not be safe for you. So I'm never going to purport to create
Right.
a safe space for somebody. But what we can do is we can create together a brave space. A brave space is a space where we're going to deal with the things that are in front of us, where we're not going to let fear dictate, but instead we're going
Gotcha.
to act in spite of fear, and we're going to work together to solve
Right.
problems. Right. And in that space, we allow people to be who they are because we have kind of 4 rules to the brave space when I work with leaders. Number 1, no masks. Number 2, no
Mm.
capes. Number 3, no blinders. Number 4, no judgment.
Ooh.
No masks. We don't want their representative coming into the space. I want
Right.
your authentic self. Who you are is good enough
Right.
as you are for
Right.
this space. Right.
Right.
Number 2, no capes. We don't expect Superman or Superwoman to be in this space.
Yeah.
Don't try to act like you
Yeah.
got everything together. Don't try to do everything and put it all on your shoulders. That's not
Yeah.
what the space is for,
Mm-hmm.
right? Number 3, no blinders. It's imperative that we actually look at what's there. We can't,
Right.
see no evil, hear no evil,
Right.
speak no
Yeah.
evil, right? We can't act like it's not
Yes.
happening. We got to talk
Yes.
about the 800-pound gorilla in the room. If
Yes.
something's not working, it's not working, and we got to talk
Yeah.
about it. But then the last piece is no judgment. And it's really important because so often we get into these spaces. And I heard a person say this quote one time, and I loved it. It said, none of us are to blame for the circumstances that we find ourselves in, but all of us have a responsibility to do something about it. And
Yes.
so often leaders come into spaces that were already toxic before they got there, and
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to fix it, trying to do something different, trying to fix the system so that everybody can work. But they're feeling all of this blame and guilt and shame about the system not working. And so in that
Yeah.
space, what we do is we kind of go by what the great Dr. Maya Angelou said, and we say, give yourself grace for what you
Yeah.
didn't know when you didn't know it.
Yeah.
When you know better,
You
do
do
better.
that. Mm-hmm.
And so in that space, we're able to create a judgment-free zone where we can look at the problem, we can actually look at the options that are available to us to solve it,
Right.
and we can look for solutions together instead of being adversaries trying to pin the blame on the problem and
Right.
spotting all the different problems. Instead, we say, how can we solve it? And I create a space where people can be part of the solution without having to be to blame for the problem.
So let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had like we have all these titles. We do. We went to school. We talked about we went to school. We did this and did that. And I know that sometimes, as a woman, sometimes men don't. I don't know if men do this or not, but
Mm-hmm.
they may talk a good game. But we walk around with these titles like all over us because this is what you're talking about. And I was going to ask you that question next, and you just beat
Mm-hmm.
me to it. So and we have all these titles. How do
Mm-hmm.
how do we even begin? I know, but like the audience, like I've been to college. I can't
Mm-hmm.
separate from that because I did the work, and you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling like that. And you
Yeah.
mean to tell me you're going to tell me that I can't come in this room with this knowledge, with
Yeah.
this understanding, with my doctorate. I can't come there
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do it's hard what you're
Mhm.
asking. I just want to, I want to know how does that happen? What's the
Yeah.
switch?
Yeah, I think the thing, the biggest issue is this, and my mother said this. She used to say this to me when I was younger, and I used to always get frustrated because I thought she was trying to take me down a peg. As I've gotten older, I realized the profundity of what she was saying.
Right.
She used to say, "Baby, there's enough you don't know to make a whole new world."
Whew.
Right, that part.
That's that right there.
Right. And that's one of the things that I help people to
Yeah.
kind of get comfortable with, right? And one
Yeah.
of the things we call it leaning into curiosity, right? So often we think that we know so much. We think that our degrees mean so much. And right, if there's
Right.
one thing that I've learned coaching thousands of leaders as a defense counsel before I was doing leadership coaching as a company commander,
Mm-hmm.
and then with the work that I do in my business, I learned that there's so much that I don't know about a situation. There's so many perspectives that I don't fully understand that it is best for me to ask questions before I give suggestions, before I give my opinion on anything. And
Right.
with my clients, I talk about it's how we earn the right to make a recommendation. It's by
Right.
seeing the other person, it's by hearing the other person, it's by valuing the other person, it's by empathizing with the other person's perspective.
Gotcha.
Once I can do that, now I've earned the right for you to actually be curious about what I might have to say. My title doesn't do that. My education doesn't do that. My
Mm.
background doesn't do that because here's the fun thing. Every interaction is a personal interaction. I
Right.
have to earn the right with you
Right.
for you to listen to me. Even if everybody else in the room is fine listening to me, I still have to earn that from you.
Right.
And if I don't do that work, I have not earned the right to be
Mm-hmm.
making all those prognostications and pronouncements and all the rest of that. Title does not, title will get you compliance. Title will not get
Oh,
you
that's
excellence.
good. That's good. Title will get you compliance. Ooh, that's really good. Now, okay, so now how does a leader know when they're leading from unhealed pain instead of personal purpose?
I love that. So one of the things that I talk to my leaders about is about being aligned, right? The key thing that you want to do, and most of us know the feeling of being out of alignment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing about it is it's just that we've gotten used to it. I always, make the analogy. If you ever driven a car that's got the alignment
Oh
messed up,
yeah, and shaking.
exactly, right? But here's the funny thing. In the beginning, when you're driving just around the block or, down to
It's
this
not doing
corner
that.
store,
Yeah.
you don't feel it because you turn in the
Right.
car, everything's good. Even when you're going 30, 35 miles an hour, you
Mm-hmm.
just kind of feel it tugging a little bit to the left.
Mm-hmm.
You feel that it's harder to drive, but you don't know quite what it is just yet.
Right.
You get on the expressway and that thing starts shaking and it feels like something's broken, and you take it to the mechanic and get the 95-point inspection because you think that the engine is messed up or the transmission or there's a crack in the radiator or something is up,
Mm-hmm.
and you find out, nope, it's just a couple of millimeters out of alignment. That's all it is. And you
Yeah.
fix that and everything is good. But here's the key. It was when you started going faster, when the stakes were higher, when you actually had to get stuff done that you noticed the misalignment. And so many leaders, that's what winds up happening. Things have been off for a long time, but it wasn't until the stakes got high, until the stress got high, until you actually
Mm.
needed to get stuff done that you started seeing all of the friction. But what it is it's a misalignment. You're not aligned with what your purpose is, and you're not pouring from an empty cup. You're pouring from your abundance and from an overflow. You're pouring from an empty cup. You're
Yeah.
running on the red line. You're running on E, trying to make everything happen.
Yeah.
So when people feel that way, some of the kind of signs that they can think of that they feel like that. One of the key things is when you're doing everything that you're doing and it feels like you're successful, but you feel unfulfilled.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everybody else is giving you accolades, but you feel like there's got to be more than this. There's got to be something else.
Right.
That's one of those keys to let you know that you're out of alignment, right? Another key that'll help people to know that they're out of alignment is when you feel like your calendar is full of things that you have to do,
Mm.
things that you're excited that you get to do,
Yeah.
then you're probably out of alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing is when you feel like when you walk into a room, you can't really connect with any of the people there. You can't really talk to them about your problems, about your issues, because
Right.
of the fact that maybe you're the supervisor and and you feel like there's got to be
Mm-hmm.
separation. That loneliness is another sign that you're not really
Yeah,
walking in alignment with what you're
that's
supposed to be doing.
perfect.
Because everybody that you interact with, especially as a leader, what you're trying to do is actually get them to, you're trying to push down or to decentralize power, to move power down to the lowest level, decision making and ownership down to the lowest level. So those problems that you're dealing with, if you have to feel like they all come to your desk and you're the only one that can deal with them, you're probably not walking in the alignment that you're supposed to be walking in.
Yeah, that is. Oh, I'm just thinking about the supervisor I was talking to you about. And she said that none of you would never be any of my friends. She announced that. I was like, wow,
Mhm.
so it must be
Mhm.
a lonely place to be. And
Exactly.
yeah, I was thinking that that was a big statement for me to let me know that's where she was operating from, and she was in the right place that she needed to be in. And then
That's it.
she said another statement that I'm gonna die here.
Mm.
That made me also. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
she's so lonely. There's
Yeah.
no way I would want to stay in one position, and I don't think we should. Well, that's my thoughts. I don't think we
No, no,
should.
no. I agree with you.
Yeah,
That's the
none of
whole thing.
us.
Whenever I was in charge, especially when I was commanding my company or the different leadership positions that I've been in, one of the first things I always tell everybody is my goal and my job is to help you work me out of a job.
That's right.
At
That's
the end of
right.
the day, my goal is that you do your job so well that I no longer need to be
That
here.
is correct. That's
Yeah.
correct. I said that to I'm president of a chamber. I said, this year I'm going to work with someone, I mentor someone that they can take over my role. And she said, I've never heard anybody say that before. I said, that's
Mhm.
what we all should be doing. We shouldn't want to
Mhm.
stay somewhere, permanently. We're here to bring up the next people. That's what leaders do.
That's it. That's
And
exactly
so,
it.
yeah, that's very important. Everything that you
That's
said.
the reason why my company is called Legacy. It's all about what
Yes,
happens when the leader is gone. When you're
yes,
there, yes, that's important. But again, the greatest leaders, the people say we did it ourselves.
yeah. So legacy is a big word. You know
Yes,
that,
ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
What's
Yeah.
one decision that leaders need to make today if they want their leadership to actually outlive them?
Mm. I think the biggest thing is that they have to make a transformation, kind of a paradigm shift. One of the things that we define leadership as, it's different from what a lot of people think is what the leaders do. It's actually not what the leaders do to get things done. Leadership, from our perspective, is facilitating the manifestation of greatness in others.
Mm,
It's helping ordinary people do extraordinary things. And it's done because you realize that your job is to see the greatness that is within them and to make it easier for that greatness to come to the fore, to
yeah.
come to fruition. Leaders have to recognize that they're in the people business.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. That's really good. So tell us what your next moves are that we can kind of find you. No, I want you to give you the thing that you could think of right off the top of your
Mm.
head that you can give the audience about leadership that can move them forward in life.
I love it. I love it. All right. So if there was one thing that I could leave the audience with about leadership, I think the thing that I would tell them is this: before you can figure out what's the best way to get somewhere, you first have to figure out where it is you're trying to go.
Oof,
Like we talked about earlier on in
yes.
the session, so many people struggle because that muscle of defining success for ourselves and for others has atrophied. And so the first thing that I would tell anybody that's aspiring to be a better leader, that's aspiring to be a legacy leader, as we call it, somebody who leaves a mark, and when you leave, then things continue on after you're gone, is that you've got to learn how to define success. You've got to be able to see what that vision is, and not just see it, not just feel it, not just kind of know it intellectually, but to be able to articulate it. And so one of the things that we have done is to help people to figure out what success looks like. Is we created a tool called the Defining Success Clarity Tool. And it's
Mm-hmm.
basically a series of exercises and activities that help you to not just define success kind of in your professional life, but to really look at your entire life. And what is your purpose? What are you trying to do? What is your North Star?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going? And that's something that
Yeah.
I think that would be, it's been really beneficial for a lot of my students. And it's something that we like to offer your listeners if they're interested in it.
Yes. Well, we're gonna have in the comments section. We're gonna have your resources available
Mm.
because your very good assistant gave it to us.
Awesome,
So
awesome.
we want to thank you for keeping it real and breaking this down to the true leadership that it looks like. And we thank you for that because I know that I received a lot. I know the audience received a lot.
Well,
To
I appreciate
everyone listening, your leadership rises when clarity rises. Your
Mhm.
legacy grows when your courage grows, and your impact deepens when you stop leading from fear and start leading from purpose. We
Yes.
thank you again, Robert, for being here, and we are going to bid you goodbye for now.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you so much.